Biovores are ruining Siege mode. This enemy should be nerfed ASAP. They are at least 2 of them on every Tyranid wave, and they are constantly shooting spore mines without a break. They are also so hard to kill that they also spawn on boss waves with 2 to 3 Carnifexes. If you haven't bought a Dread for this wave, you are cooked. I don't want to play this mode anymore until devs nerf them, which is a shame because I like Siege mode a lot. You're fine, just okay. Okay. Yes, Biovores can be annoying. I think ultimately, if you're getting to the point where you're seeing 2 to 3 Carnifexes, I think you can deal with Biovores. A Siege mode is definitely a cluster at higher waves. So it's just, there's a lot to deal with. I am honestly not surprised Biovores can kind of start to hide within the waves, and I can see that being an issue in a way. I still think Siege mode is great, actually, for me so far, to test out great ways to approach Biovores. Practically every time you get behind or onto the side of a Biovore and actually pelt it a little bit if you get close to it, it usually starts to aggro towards you with melee attacks specifically. So as long as you're not in front of it, it normally just gets up and tries to relocate. Biovores are very finicky. They are moving around a lot. The plasma pistol is great to get them to stagger, to get them in place. Now, also, keep in mind, we've talked about how to deal with Biovores quite a bit. This is dealing with Biovores in Siege mode. And I think when you are dealing with a lot of spore mines in the area, you really need to take them out as a team. You really should focus the spore mines. If one of your teammates, or maybe even both of your teammates, are ignoring them, you're going to be in a tough spot because you're practically one bad play of getting cornered the entire time in Siege mode. I think that is how it should be. I think Siege mode should be this sort of cluster, and essentially the enemies are throwing everything they have at you. It is not uncommon to see like 2 to 3 Lictors, 2 to 3 Raveners, maybe 2 to 3 Biovores, just kind of rotating around. You will definitely see a handful of Extremists. I also think this mode is great for dealing with Extremists, or learning how to deal with Extremists. Now, with that said, are Biovores ruining Siege mode? I would say no. I think Siege mode is supposed to be this difficult in a way. I think what you should do is jump into normal mode and play that until you hit wave 15. And then if you want, you can go onto those extra waves. I really don't think the game's balanced for those extra waves, but I think that's where the fun is. Siege mode is going to be the ultimate way to play this game when you are done playing operations, because this mode can throw everything at you. Are Biovores ruining Siege mode? No. I think Siege mode is basically built to throw impossible stuff in your way, and then you gradually get better and gradually climb up the waves, eventually hitting wave 15 to the point where you can just continuously spawn in waves because the game doesn't know how to deal with you anymore. The game's going to throw everything at you. Those endless waves are incredibly fun. I just honestly, like, the fairness levels of Siege mode I don't think is a priority, to be completely honest. I think Siege mode is going to be like the ultimate end game activity for a lot of players just because of the uncapped difficulty in a sense. Now, of course, Absolute is getting buffed soon. Absolute, actually, I have played Absolute. New Absolute is insane. It is very fun. I do think some of the extra health, like the Hive Tyrant with extra health, is that really more difficult, or is it just, now it takes longer, I don't think anyone's going to forget the Hive Tyrant's movesets. But yeah, I talk about that in the other video. I definitely will share my Absolute run, but yeah, my first Absolute run was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. But yeah, ultimately, Siege mode was still harder. Even normal Siege mode has moments where it's still harder than New Absolute. Because in New Absolute, you won't see couple zone thropes and a couple Carnifexes and all these gaunts, all these majors. Like, honestly, Siege mode is a heightened version of what the game has to offer. Do not get tilted at getting defeated by something like spore mines or 2 to 3 Carnifexes or anything like that. Siege mode is supposed to be that intense, and you can get through it for sure. Like, you are going to learn how to deal with biovores extremely quickly in siege mode, because you will have access to a lot of grenades, you will have access to a lot of ammo, you will have access to pretty much everything you use in operations, even more so. You have more resources in siege mode. So I get it, people are going to be worried about biovores, and yes, I get it, it can be annoying. It is not going to ruin siege mode. The only thing in siege mode that's actually, in a sense, like, very frustrating to deal with is dealing with unblockable attacks in certain areas of the game because of an orange tint, and you won't be able to see what attacks are actually happening. You won't be able to see where it's coming from unless you have a really good eyesight and can notice, you know, certain things. Also, sound cues and visual cues are great to deal with that. But to the original poster here, I'm not too sure if they will see this video. Ultimately, that frustration is going to be normal with this mode, and you are going to get better at dealing with biovores. I'm already getting better at dealing with biovores just because I keep seeing them all the time. So you will be in a position where you're like, you have all the knowledge of dealing with them. You'll have the crack grenade on you. You have the plasma pistol. You know where to approach them to get them to stand up and melee you, and then you will also know how to gun strike you. When biovores start to hide is where they can be a problem, but still, this game throws so many enemies at you, you could be in a constant iframe of just executions after executions, and trust me, when it comes to when this game can pile up on you, those spore mines are not the issue, even if they cover the entire room. That's how crazy siege mode can get. The issue in siege mode is ultimately neurothropes spawning those AoE circles, raveners jumping out of the ground, instant speed. like seriously, they will be jumping right next to you, and you might miss it. So yeah, I had a lot to talk about with siege mode, and I understand this sentiment of biovores can potentially be super painful in siege mode. I get it. But when it comes to wave 13, 14, 15, when it comes to those higher waves, spore mines actually aren't even the problem. Everything on the screen is the problem, and what you need is a melta. What you need is some, iframes from executions. You need a heavy on the team. You need a dreadnought. It's not supposed to be fair. We have tools to deal with it, though. Chaos is a problem in my mind. Constant 3 or more Terminators is a problem. I can fight Lictors, Raveners, and Biovores with some ease, but I hate Chaos rounds. 3 Hellbrutes is actually hell, but 3 Carnivores isn't that bad, honestly. 3 Carnivores, it really depends. It depends, because if you're in an enclosed area, they can just bounce back and forth and just continuously just spam ram attacks. And even if you get stunned by one, you'll get stunned by another. It can be rough. Sometimes they can hit the walls, but sometimes it's a little janky. It doesn't really it all depends on the area. If you're fighting them in an open area, you have a better shot to get them to run into a wall. Sometimes I feel like when it becomes a hallway is when carnivores are an issue. Now, Terminators. I love fighting Terminators. The fact that I actually enjoy fighting Terminators put me in a position to understand their movesets, and I just want to reiterate the sentiment from the original post. If you have an issue with fighting any extremists in Siege, this is the way to get better at fighting them, because you're going to see them spammed. So yes, essentially, if you have an issue with Terminators, just don't give up, because you will get gradually better at dealing with them throughout your Siege mode experience. And eventually you're going to realize whenever you see a Terminator, you're going to know what to do, and you're going to have the right tools to deal with it. Terminators, you can deal with them with blocking or fencing. Parrying also really helps. Big explosions. There's going to be a lot of grenades. You can spend money on grenades whenever you want. So yeah, just don't save any grenades. Whenever you see a Terminator, you can throw grenades at them. It's very, very nice. It's very, very friendly in that sense. But I hate Chaos rounds. 3 Hellbrutes is actually... 3 Hellbrutes could definitely be an issue. I can see where that's annoying because of the AoE slams. But Hellbrutes are very parryable. They're probably free parries if you understand what they're doing. It's when Hellbrutes hit you off screen is when, yeah, it's kind of an issue. But yeah, at this point, you just really should aim for Dreadnoughts in the last waves because, yeah, they won't hold back. I think Siege mode should be this way. This is the mode for the impossible, in a sense. But I just want to also put out some hope in the sense that I've hated fighting biovores, and now I see them as free enemies, depending on their positioning. Because if you don't see them on camera and Spore Mines hit you off camera, yeah, I don't know how to deal with that. But if I see the Biovore, I'm getting the Biovore now. Which is also, Biovores are very fun to parry and gunstrike. It's just very satisfying because of how much, you know, they annoy you. So once you get that gunstrike, it feels very good. And yeah, yeah, you start to aim for what feels good. Part of the reason this is on the PST, the public test server, the PTS, is to test it and gain feedback. And things are likely to change, but maybe constructor feedback in a more mature and mannered way than the devs may listen. That's fair. There's nothing that stood out to me in this. I mean, I've seen some pretty wild comments. I mean, even coming from Elden Ring, I've seen way worse comments there. So pretty much any of the potential toxic negative comments really don't get to me. I kind of just take them at face value, but you know, sometimes I will correct them in the sense that you know it's better to construct your feedback in a concise way that people can understand and actually relate to. Yeah, as soon as you start bringing your tilt into it is where people just can't relate because they're not as tilted as you at the moment. I'm not too sure what the original post said. If anything, that was like kind of bad. I think they just hate biovores or something. Whatever, I forget. But ultimately, yeah, the PTS, the test server obviously is, you know, we're just working stuff out. Who knows what the devs decide to do with our feedback. Ultimately, I really don't have much feedback for Siege mode, to be completely honest. Like, it's in a really good spot. I do understand of these frustrating moments for sure. But I am very excited for Siege. It is going to be very fun. I really enjoy the impossibleness of some of these situations, but the reason I enjoy it is because ultimately you get the tools to deal with it. Because of Dreadnoughts, you can get extra Space Marines, which are time-based. I don't think they have health, so you're probably just better off with getting the heavy. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting how they decide to do that. I would like to see the Space Marines kind of stay around for longer. That would be cool. Maybe cheaper grenades or something, but ultimately getting you get 2 sets of grenades for 80 points. And that can spawn in meltas and cracks and shock grenades, and they're all really, really good. Shock grenades especially because of the, you know, enemies pouring in. They don't care. They don't avoid your shock grenades. They just walk right into it and get absolutely eviscerated. But yeah, just wanted to kind of circle back here for some players who might be keeping up with, you know, Siege mode, but not really interested in playing it, or, you know, they're waiting for the patch for console or whatever. For whatever reason, I just wanted to touch base here and let them know that whatever you hear from Siege mode right now is going to sound a lot worse than what it actually is, because right now I've been enjoying Siege mode quite a bit. I've been playing normal mode. Hard mode Siege mode is definitely, like, you would want to jump in there with a meta build and understand the Siege mode strat. So you want to get the map down and a strat down before you jump into hard. I've been enjoying normal at the moment because I've been trying out the Thunderhammer on the Bulwark, so I think I will be jumping into hard mode Siege with the Tactical, because I think Tactical is really good right now, so we will see. We will see how it turns out. Right now, the public test server isn't the most populated test server. You can definitely find some players, but it's going to be a lot easier to go into deeper waves when it's officially released. So a lot of that hard mode stuff I'm kind of waiting on for the official release, and I kind of want to experience with you guys that you know, the drive to go to the like wave whatever. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video to kind of talk about what people should expect from the balance side, and to ultimately point out that this mode does give you what you need to succeed. And there's going to be a lot of trial and error. So, if you didn't like high difficulties, you will still like Siege mode. Siege mode is very balanced in the sense that if you can't beat Absolute, you can jump into Siege mode with, like, purple rarity stuff and make a dent into it, and you're going to get better at the game, and you are also going to get experience for stuff. You're going to level up. So potentially Siege Mode can be your way into the higher difficulties, and then Siege Mode could also be your way to experience endgame. When you get, your stuff upgraded, you can continuously grind waves and get to even more crazy stuff that you shouldn't survive, but you can and will survive. So that is why Siege Mode is amazing. Definitely can't wait for it to come out. I will definitely be playing it when, I have stuff to test from the public test server, but I'm not going to commit to, hey, this is my deep wave run. I'm going to save that for when it releases. But yeah, ultimately, I just hope they kind of adjust the way unblockables work, but that's really the only feedback I have. It should feel very, very tough. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts on Siege Mode, if you've tried it out. Did I not convince you that biovores won't be that big of a problem? Because, ultimately, they're definitely going to be annoying. But, again, I think you're going to get better at dealing with them. So, yeah, just let me know in the comments your thoughts on the upcoming Siege Mode or any balanced thoughts. Thanks for watching.